So what happens when one of the most experimental 3D printed footwear brands teams up with the godfather of techwear? ALIVEFORM and ACRONYM have just teased a new sneaker collab, and it's called The Blade. Now, I've owned almost every sneaker ACRONYM has ever released, and this one might just be the most radical shift yet. Let's break down what it is, why it matters, and what this could mean for the future of techwear footwear. ALIVEFORM is a Tokyo-based footwear label launched in August 2022 by Singaporean designer Pek Shen Ping, also known as Com Conception. What they do is very specific. They use generative design and 3D printing to create futuristic, organic footwear that looks like it's grown and not made. Think of their Armis series, sharp skeletal structures that curve around your foot like exoskeletons, or the Monstera Stomper, with leaf-like ribs inspired by plant growth. These are not sneakers in the traditional sense. They're wearable sculpture, designed for walking in the future. If I'm honest, to me it's not a completely new concept. In 2020 I already did a short collab with Dutch label Fused Footwear, who already did something quite similar back then, albeit his design seemed to be a bit more inspired by geometric shapes. Recently, ALIVEFORM collaborated with Puma on the Unimonstro, which debuted at the New York Fashion Week. That gave them a more mainstream push, but I don't think they ever comprise on form, and also this new ACRONYM design seems to demonstrate that. And then you've got ACRONYM, if you're here, you know. Founded by Errolson Hugh, ACRONYM brought cyberpunk to fashion before anyone else did it seriously. But when it comes to sneakers, the story starts with Nike Lab. I've personally owned nearly every ACRONYM sneaker, so let me walk you through that evolution. In 2015, we saw the Nike Lab Lunar Force 1, zipped up version of the classic Air Force 1, one of the first hybrids that felt truly ACRONYM. I myself have owned the all-white version. Super comfortable shoe. It was quite bulky, but the lunar sole was really nice and bouncy. It was quite a warm shoe though, great for winter, not that great for summer in my opinion. But because it was so big and kind of also heavy, I didn't really enjoy wearing it that much. So I actually didn't wear it that much, even though I thought it looked really cool. Then in 2016 we got the Air Presto Mid. That one kind of changed everything. I still think that's probably my favorite ACRONYM sneaker release, especially the olive ones and the lava ones. To be honest, I do kind of miss them actually. Just the whole silhouette, the technical zips. It was like an instant cult classic. One of the most like techwear looking shoes that ever were produced, if you ask me. In 2017, we got the Nike Lab Air Force 1 Downtown. Maybe one of the most unique designs ACRONYM did, actually. An Air Force shoe with like an extended ankle piece made of neoprene. I also owned one of these, a very narrow shoe, so not very comfortable to me. And even though they looked quite cool on their own, I found that they were quite difficult to style. I actually really didn't wear them that much either, but I do still appreciate the design. Then in 2018 we got the Air VaporMax Mach 2. Polarizing design, heavy patterns, sock fit, really pushed Nike's futuristic agenda. Also definitely one of my favorite ACRONYM designs. Besides the Presto, I mean, it's kind of hard to choose. I think they both look really sick and very ACRONYM and very techwear. But to be honest, the VaporMax sole at some point begins to get really loud. If you've ever worn VaporMaxes, you know how squeaky they get, and at some point if it gets like a hole or something and the air gets out, it just gets a bit soggy. So even though I think the VaporMax idea is very cool and works well when it's new, in my experience it's not really that durable. And also because of the white ones, the bone ones, the outside of the VaporMax bubbles were painted, but they like expand and contract when you walk on them. That paint at some point just flakes off, and that's not a very nice looking worn look. Then that same year we got another Presto release, this time in different colors. I also owned all three of them actually, but I have to admit they were definitely, I don't know, just less cool or something. I mean, they were easier to get, so that's kind of why I got them, but the first 3 colorways definitely were better. I can't really say why, but I just like them better. Also, I think the new ones overdid it a little bit with the logos. I think the bit more subtle look of the first release was just better. Even though they did improve some things on the second release, where they put guards on the mesh where the cage would rub and at some point like destroy the mesh. Then it was silent for a while, and in 2022 we got the Blazers. This was quite like a big release in the sense that it was like a big collab with Nike, also releasing the tracksuits and t-shirts and stuff. I think ACRONYM reached quite a larger audience with this, even though most of the tracksuit designs were still quite bold, as were the blazer designs with these like cutouts with like a heel piece that could be modified or even customized if you know how to 3D print or are just a creative person in some way. So I think that was quite cool. Comfort wise, those shoes were really terrible. I don't think that's really an ACRONYM thing. They were just like, the base of the shoes were just standard Blazers, and Blazers to me are just really not very comfortable shoes. They were quite narrow and I have a bit wide feet, so even though I did appreciate the design, I didn't really wear them all that much either. And then last year in 2024, the last ACRONYM collab happened with Mischief. At least I think that's the way you pronounce that. The shoe was called the Super Normal AG, I believe, which was kind of like a different take on the first Lunar Force, but then like completely warped. I don't really know how popular these have been because I didn't really follow it all that much. I personally really did not like the design. Even if I had still been into ACRONYM at that point, I would not have bought them. So if you do have them, if you have something to say about them, do leave a comment in the comment section. Now jump to 2025, a reel goes up on Instagram. ALIVEFORM, ACRONYM and Errolson post a new sole, biosculpt, razor edged, named the Blade. There's no official info yet, but this is real. Based on the sole design alone, the Blade could be ALIVEFORM's most aggressive silhouette yet. And with ACRONYM involved, we don't know what to expect. Modularity maybe, utility, materials that aren't even mainstream yet. If anybody knows anything about it, please share with us in the comments below. Here's why this could be huge. ACRONYM has never worked with a 3D printed footwear brand before yet. This is not just another Nike cosign. ALIVEFORM doesn't play in the hype space. Their drops are small, intentional, and rooted in design first. And most importantly, both brands push the boundaries of form and function. This could be more than a shoe. It could define what Techwear footwear even is. So what do you think? If this collab delivers, it could be one of the most meaningful sneaker releases of the year, maybe even the decade for this niche. Not just because it'll look cool, but because it's the first time two of the most experimental minds in design are coming together on a wearable piece. Or is it? Because to be honest, when I walked in the fused footwear shoes, they weren't all that comfortable to walk in. I mean, they were really cool looking and I really did appreciate the design, but it definitely was not a shoe to go walk in every day. So the Blade might not be for everyone either, but maybe that's kind of the point. I'll try to keep you updated as soon as we get more info. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know in the comments, would you actually wear a 3D printed sneaker like this?